This
show
is
about
dead
people,
dead
celebrities,
and
what
they
might
see
now
if
they
weren't
dead.
and
While
research
has
been
done,
clearly
they
are
still dead and can't speak now.
so it is fiction.
Right, it is fiction.
We will try
To channel them
as best
as we can.
please
Forgive
the
bad
accents. We
hope
you
enjoy
these
made up
monologues
from
dead
celebrities. And Jeremy, what are we doing? Is this weird?
yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of.
That's a bit weird, isn't it?
But hey Erin, thanks for asking me to help you write this weird show.
Yeah. Well, thank you for writing it with me. And Sara, thanks for directing. But, but you know, I mean, how do you introduce a show about dead people?
But I don't know.
I don't you ever wonder what people might say, you know, dead people, if they were still here today?
Sure. Oh, you mean famous people?
Yeah, please.
Right. Like who?
I don't know, like Princess Diana.
Yes. Yeah, I heard that she was friends with Freddie Mercury.
I heard that too.
Oh, and I always wondered what Abraham Lincoln would have thought of John Wilkes Booth.
Well, I have an idea of what Abraham would have thought of John Wilkes Booth. And what about what Booth thought about Lincoln?
Oh, yeah, that's another one. Well, let's find out.
President Lincoln was present at a performance at Fort Smith. There was a large audience present. I had a seat in the orchestra near the gate box of the president. The first two acts passed off pleasantly, and the curtain rose for the third and last act. Few, if any, words were spoken from the stage, and we heard the sharp report of a revolver. I looked towards the place Princess Anne came, and saw Booth climbing over the rails curtain box and jumped to the stage a few feet to his right. When he struck the stage, he tried to strike it. Raising his right hand, holding the knife, he said, "Stop, Havana," and ran to the rear of the stage and escaped through another.
All my life, the only thing I'm remembered for is that one shot. Not my stage performances. I mean, I was finally on the rise as an actor. People were recognizing me. I was known on the street. The ladies loved me. How you doing, Darryl? Fine. The critics never raved about my Julius Caesar as they had my father or my brother, but still, none of that mattered. The only thing I'm remembered for is that one shot. I mean, looking back on it all, I wonder now, was it all worth it? Basically ending my life because we disagreed politically. But keep in mind, it was a fundamental difference. I couldn't stand idly by while that son of a bitch changed our entire way of life. I mean, look at Lincoln now. Even the critics are saying he didn't do everything right. Like he was one man, I was one man. Basically, we are defined in this life by the decisions that we make, the choices we make. And I will be always defined as someone who shot a great man during a mediocre play. What was Sara, what was the name of that stinker again?
I got it, here it is.
Ah, An American Cousin. Well, at least the audience got their money's worth that night, one way or another. But think about it. All I really remember from that night is the smell of the theater. I mean, I've been in theaters my whole life, and I know theaters smell like no place else on earth. The smell of musty seats, the smell of heavy stage makeup, the smell of the audience, the salty, raw smell of the stage crew and the actors, the smell of people being pushed to their limits, emotionally and physically, the smell of life as curtains are raised on characters unknown until they are revealed to the audience. You might not know this, but the theater smelled like the scent of Lincoln that night. What? People that were sitting next to him say that his breath smelled like peanuts. Huh. I guess he liked munching on the salty lagoons, but I'll tell you what, then. When I shot Lincoln, his breath and his blood splattered in the air. It mingled with the smell of the sulfur from my bullet, which was a steel ball. And that sucker took down the man who had the balls to change history. Well, I guess I'm a man who changed history too. I learned, thanks to Mr. Wikipedia, that modern bullets are still made of steel, but they are made of a copper-plated soft steel jacket. Lincoln, that son of a bitch, he was all steel. And I'm sure that night, he just came to the theater. He wanted to see a mediocre play and escape the pressure of being who he was. That night, in an instant, I swear, the smell of the theater changed. In that moment, I swear, I could smell the sweat of every man, woman, and child that Lincoln was to release. This was the beginning of the release. And I fell back from the kick of the gun. I tried to hold it so still. I fell back, and I saw over my head a cloud of smoke. This was a cloud that forecast my legacy. And I smelled it. Unfamiliar at first. I smelled my own death. Unfamiliar then, but now it's a smell that clings to me as I wade through eternity. Can't take it off. Like a suit, like a black heavy suit, like Lincoln's black heavy suit. I can't take it off. I wonder what Lincoln's eternity is like. I wonder.
If you're wondering what eternity was like for me, know that anything would have been better than life with Mary Todd. What a crazy bitch. Wow. I swear, if you wouldn't have shot me, Booth, I would have taken a gun and shot myself, just to have some relief from that moment. A man can only take so much, and I was at the end of my rope with that. So you did me a favor. I mean, I was just trying to have a relaxing night at the theater. Oh, but man, that play was mediocre. What was the name of that stinker? Sara? What was the name?
There you go, it's there again.
Oh, our
American Cousin.
Right, you were in that for a while too, weren't you?
That's right.
Yeah. Although, I mean, I was following your acting career for a bit, but I would say I preferred your father's performance of Julius Caesar to yours. And your brother's was better too. Let me give you some advice, Booth. Less is more. You could have taken some lessons in method acting. Yeah, it's just, he was always trying so hard. I mean, I've seen a lot of plays, and overacting will kill a performance every time. Well, Booth, at least you could say you killed at the theater that night. was on the rise as an actor. Yeah, it's too bad. He kind of shot himself in the foot. Well, actually, you know the joke. Well, I've got things pretty good from where I'm sitting. No more Mary Todd and an eternity of peace and quiet. I think that's the key to it all. Do what you think is right without expecting the fame. Because when the fame comes, Booth, well, it just might not be all it's cracked up to be. What, Larry?
All right.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I'll tell you what then.
Sorry.
Hello, everyone. Let's hear it tonight for Kostreva-Yach right over there. She's like our Guillermo, and she designed this entire show. It's been wonderful. But I digress. We're not talking about Sara. Tonight, we'll talk a bit about Diana. I mean, that girl. She was the bee's knees, all right? Oh, I mean, Kenny and I, we were just having a bit of fun with her. We didn't think she'd actually go out with us. But sure enough, she did. She did. We dressed her up. Well, we dressed her up like me. We literally gave her the sunglasses. Yeah, we gave her the butch leather hat. But still, I thought, no, she's too gorgeous. She's simply not going to pull it off. But she didn't. She pulled it off. And we made our way into the bar, and then she ordered herself a glass of Chardonnay. I thought, no, they're gonna know it's her. But she didn't even giggle at anything. She had the most adorable giggle. And she made her way through the bar, and she just sort of disappeared. I mean, we were going through a sea of chaps and leather thongs, and she didn't bat an eye. She didn't bat an eyelash. You know, she was so fun. But she had to keep that side of herself usually locked away. You know, it wasn't fair. But once we had her in the bar, it was like unleashing a lion, right? And letting the lion out of the cage. But then, it was a shame having to put that genie back in the bottle. It just seemed unfair. I mean, people spoke about Diana and said, oh, she has everything. But really, she was a caged bird. Yes, hello, love. Yes, I thought the least I could do was let that bird out of the cage once in a while. It's the least I could do. Diana was fun, unpretentious, and easy to be around. She was a champion for AIDS awareness before it was fashionable to be so, saved countless lives, and hell, she was a fine dancer. I tell you what, Diana was a princess, but to me, she will always be a queen. Here she is now.
I know it's become a sort of urban legend, but yes, it's true. I snuck into a bar one night with Freddie Mercury. I can tell you about that now, well, because I'm dead. Really, so is the royal family. I mean, without her, they'll fade into existence. Perhaps that's good. It never really was. I was. And my boys have it right. They're moving away from the royals one step at a time. Yes, they have it right, especially Harry. He and Meghan have it right. But where was I? Oh, I was going to tell you about that night. Well, before I married that stodgy prat Charles, I enjoyed a bit of clubbing, and I never understood why it had to end once I married the old prick. Old prick. Well, Freddie and I had been mates for a while, and we were in a hotel one night with his friends Kenny Everett and Cleo Roberts. We had the TV on mute and we were watching the Golden Girls. We were making up bits of racy comments for the dialogue. There's a bit of good fun. Oh, but then there was that moment. The Golden Girls viewing got old and they wanted to go to a gay bar, Vauxhall Tavern. I wanted to go, but I knew if the whole trick didn't work and we were discovered, the taverns would have a royal go at me and my family. Still, I wanted nothing more but to go that night. Well, once Freddie tipped me up and had those aviator sunglasses on me he made so famous, I was totally up for the caper. And we did it. We walked into Vauxhall Tavern and no one was the wiser. I was stunned to think that it was actually happening. I think Freddie could tell it from the look on my face, because he gave me very distinct instructions. Dance like it's your last day on earth, love. And drink until you can't dance anymore. And that's what I did. I think I felt more myself that night than I ever had before. I felt so brave and fearless. But Freddie had a way of inspiring that in people. He inspired that to me that night. I never forgot how it felt. The world asked me to be a princess. Freddie asked me to be a friend.
Had been murdered, and I was reeling from that. I mean, he and I had been friends for years, and to be struck down in the height of one's creativity, it was horrendous. It was there at Versace's funeral that Diana and I finally spoke again. We hadn't spoken for about 6 months. You see, we had had a disagreement. It had stemmed from a charity, a benefit of mine, a book called Rock and Royalty. It was for one of my AIDS benefits, my charity. And Diana had kindly written an introduction for it. And in the introduction, she noted Versace's glowing optimism and his love for mankind. Well, as it turns out, the book was a bit more adult in nature. Yes, there were photos of naked male celebrities interspersed with photos of the royal family. Yes, Diana was not amused. It gave new meaning to his love for mankind, if you know what I mean. But in hindsight, yeah, she cut me off. She often did that with people that she felt betrayed by, friends or family. We hadn't spoken for 6 months, as I said. But there, at Versace's funeral, I sat in the front row for all the world to see, grieving. And Diana reached out, literally. She put her hand on my arm so gently. She had a strong, resilient beauty. I had always seen it. Well, the whole world had. We truly lost an angel that day. She's people's princess, and she always will be. Goodbye in the grove, may you weather grow in our hearts through a grace that places itself where lives were torn apart. Call back to our country, and you whispered those in pain. Now you belong to heaven, and the stars spell out your name. And it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind, never fading with sunset or when the rain set in. And your footsteps will always fall here, belonging to you. The kind that burned out long before you lived and filled with.
Thank you for being brave. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant.
You guys can sing, it's okay. We don't know the words.
He invited everyone to. You would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, "Thank you for being a friend."
It's true. I came from the old school, you know, Norman Lear, where sitcoms are filmed like stage plays. But Betty, no. Betty liked to walk off set and talk to the audience. Honestly, it was like working with a golden retriever. There was someone in the audience with a Snickers bar, White would sit up and roll over. That was Betty. Always trying to make people happy. Yeah, well, you wouldn't know it, but she was like that. I mean, Rose, her character, was like that, but Betty was like that too. Always trying to make people laugh. I mean, if she was a dog, she would have been one of those yappy purse dogs you just want to kick. She was. Always had to be the center of attention. Always trying to be on. And it is exhausting being around someone who always has to be on. I like to think of myself as more of a cat. You know, look at that maw, yes. Composed, yet curious and inquisitive. I liked to take the occasional nap in my dressing room, and I hated wearing shoes. In fact, I had it written in my contract that I didn't have to. I would often take a seat next to Betty while barefoot and point my foot at her and wave it around. Watch her cringe. I got a lot of pleasure out of that. Well, what's the difference if we had a fight or two? I mean, you work with someone for as long as we work together on the Golden Girls, and there's bound to be a cat fight or two. I mean, there is. And Betty really was a pain in the neck. But I enjoy being mad at people. I do. That's an emotion I can really play. You have to have something to drive the performance forward, even if it's a sitcom. I never understood why Betty won the Emmy first. I mean, I came from the theater, from Broadway. She was on fucking Hollywood Square.
B. Arthur and I really didn't get along, okay? I mean, we just had different ways of working. She needed to keep a script in her hand until the director yelled cut. Me, I could take one look at the script, have it done cold. I like to mingle with the audience. Hey, you big boy. You know, some of these people came from around the world. You gotta give them their money's worth, right? Think I'm part of the show, you're part of the show. There you are. Well, she didn't like that at all. I could see her face start to tighten up. Oh, there it is. She looks like she had a dick in her hand. She didn't know what to do. It was fine. The first season, we all got along. Ruth, Estelle, Bea, and myself. But then, when I won that first Emmy, that really got under her skin. I mean, she had come up from Broadway, and I, on the other hand, was from fucking Hollywood Square. I mean, we did the best we could. The first season we got along, but after that, she wouldn't. She clammed up. She wouldn't come to lunch with me and Rue, which really, in the long run, just saved on the bill. I mean, that woman could eat like fucking Jabba the Hutt. Well, we did the best we could. I mean, I didn't kill her. Let's just put it that way. But if I had killed her, it wouldn't have been because of her personality. It would have been because of her feet. That woman had the ugliest feet I've ever seen. They look like two brittle, pointy waffle cones at the end of her legs. Let's just say I lost a lot of weight that first season, just looking at her weight. Thank you, dear. Thank you, Sara. Oh, but I digress. I mean, I don't want to spend the whole afterlife complaining about B. Arthur. Well, fuck it. She was a cunt.
Yes, I did kill it in pants, thank you very much. I always said if you obey all the rules, you won't have any fun. Well, Howard really got that. He was a rule breaker and the package of a businessman, but boy, did we have fun, at least while it lasted. We came from different backgrounds. Mine was from money and his was from grit. Oh, there he is. Yes, mine was money and his was grit, and boy, we had fun, at least while it lasted. When it came down to it, we got along swimmingly, at least until the cracks started to show. We met when Cary Grant introduced us. I had just made 4 films that were flops. Well, and then there was always my reputation as being difficult. Downfall of my sex, really. When you're challenging as a woman, you're dismissed as hard to work with, instead of a consummate professional as men are often referred to. Well, that didn't get in the way for Howard and me. He was difficult in his own way. He teased me, called me country mouse because of my affinity for quieter spaces, and I called him my most excellent boss. When we met and Grant introduced us, it was like he lit a match in a dry forest, and, well, sparks flew, and before we knew it, Howard and I were on every cover of every magazine that was to be had. We hated it, really. We were similar in that way, both wanting the notoriety, but not wanting the fame that came with it. Howard, he had a hard time when I reached out to him in one of his darkest moments. But by then, the dam had broken. The cracks had taken over, and it was a shame, really. He was such a brilliant man. I always said, you can't change the music of your soul. It's another quote of mine, but Howard changed my music for a bit. He opened up a part of me that played jazz and blues like a great big Dizzy Gillespie solo that ended of its own volition. I heard it once, never to hear it again in its entirety. That music goes on in my head when I think of what Howard and I had. It chimes like some celestial wind chime that I never tire of. There we are.
All anybody ever wants to talk about is the spruce goose. That's right. I mean, whatever misguided journalist gave you that nickname misunderstood what I was going for, both as an aviator and a designer of aircraft. I mean, first of all, the thing was made almost entirely out of birch, not spruce. And second of all, it was light. It set records, still stands for the largest aircraft ever built completely out of wood. Of course, it barely got off the ground. Have some regrets about that. But as far as setting records, it set them and mission accomplished there. I mean, it's always about those bureaucrats, the government sons of bitches who get in the way of my process, my mind, and inhibit things. That's why I had to lock myself away toward the end there. Just keep the things that matter close by. Nothing there to, like disease, to infiltrate my process and my genius. I mean, there are terrible things out there. There are typhoid, malaria, cholera. If a man cannot protect himself from these diseases, well then all is lost. I need to let go. Especially being dead, you gotta learn to let go. I am most proud that at 18 years old, I became my own man. That's right, Daddy died. I wasn't gonna stay there down in Texas making drill bits. No. I made a beeline for Hollywood. That's right. They didn't want to accept Howard Hughes at first, but I guess making, directing, and producing the most expensive motion picture ever made got their attention. Hell's Angels. That's right. Who's that? 1940. I mean, what's $4 million anyway? By 1940, there wasn't a man alive that I couldn't buy or destroy. That motion picture started out being a silent film, but we had to keep up with the jazz singer, right? We had to keep with that turn into a talkie. But the real star of that motion picture were the pilots and all the aircraft that I purchased. I flew too. I wasn't going to let those boys have all the fun. Of course, there were lives lost. There was some sacrifices to be made. But overall, I'm proud of what we did there. It's apropos that I died in an aircraft eventually. Sure, they discovered me there, locked away, tried to fly me to Texas. But it's ironic. I wasn't in the pilot seat when I died. I mean, a man should be in control of his own destiny, right? I like to think that with me in the driver's seat, we would have gotten to that hospital before Howard Hughes took his last breath.
It's the interview the world has been waiting for.
Even now,
I find it hard to believe that. It just doesn't seem real to me.
His voice cracking with emotion and wiping away tears, Alec Baldwin speaks about accidentally killing his cinematographer, Helena Hutchins.
She was someone who was loved by everyone who worked with and liked by everyone who worked with and admired.
Baldwin was interviewed by ABC News' George Stephanopoulos.
It wasn't in the script for the trigger to be pulled. Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger. So you never pulled the trigger? No. I would never point a gun at anyone and pull a trigger. Never. How did a real bullet get out? I have no idea. Someone put a live bullet in a gun. A bullet that wasn't even supposed to be on the property. Is this the worst thing that's ever happened to you? Yes. Yeah.
Okay, just for the record, you know who shot me. I mean, he's more famous than I am. Actually, you only know my name because I was shot by a famous person. Strange, isn't it? What we become famous for? I mean, it's fucked up, right? We can become famous for eating too much cinnamon or mispronouncing the word catch, like catch me outside, or simply being an influencer. An influencer. I spent my short lifetime behind a camera lens and no one knew my name until I was shot by a famous person. I was a cinematographer. I shot things. I arranged things. I arranged the shots, directing, leading them in the way the director wanted your eye to go. It's a visual art form. I never wanted the limelight. I preferred to use my gift to arrange a story through shots. Shots of two people falling in love. Shots of desperation. Shots of a lifetime of work that will never be seen. I wanted to keep working on my photography and, well, it's shots. It's all shots. Wide panning shots or one shot after another strewn together to make a cohesive story. And then with one quick shot from a prop gun, my story was snuffed out. I met eyes with my killer. He smiled, I smiled. We'd done this scene before. He has nice eyes, kind and trusting. I wonder if he knew me. I wonder if he was acting. He's a good actor, and actors tell their stories through lies. Lies they become accustomed to through creating personas of people that don't exist. I mean, their words are just words on a page until they make them real. Like my shots are just shots until I string them together to make a story. Here are the final shots of my story. If I could show you the film of my final seconds of life. Wide establishing shot of the scene. We were filming in New Mexico. And then a shot of me filming Alec. He was eye candy for the lens. The camera loves him. Then a tight shot on his eyes, a tight shot on my eyes. And then, with one quick flash, a montage of my life. And then a white light. One overwhelming white light. Pull back and wide shot on the helicopter airlifting me to the University of New Mexico Hospital. It's amazing to see New Mexico from the air. That was the last thing I saw. New Mexico from the air. And Alec stooped over in the ground crying, but I forgave him. It's easy to forgive when you're at peace, and as my eyes scanned that final shot of New Mexico, I felt very at peace.
That is how I started my television show, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, every week. Why, you ask? Well, I like to get people comfortable, make them feel welcome, before I scare the living shit out of them. It's where the horror lies, you know, in the darkest reaches of someone's imagination. I like to reach into that spot, shine a light in that one spot, and that is usually about enough. Most people don't like reaching into their darkness. They get rather uncomfortable rather quickly. Couple that with a clever plot twist, and that's usually enough. For a couple trips to the loo, certainly, and a couple trips to their closet to change their trousers. I find that tantalizing and delicious. I got my start in the silent pictures. That's where I got my eye for photography. I always saw my films as a series of pictures. For example, picture of a shower. Picture of a woman in a shower. Picture of a hand on a knife. And final picture, Vivian Lee's terrified face on the screen.
It was,
Yes.
no, it was Janet.
So who can keep these celebrities famous or what? Janet Lee, thank you, love. Yes. But my favorite thing to talk about, and most people's, is my cameos and practical jokes. So many cameos I made in the pictures over the years, usually as a driver or someone in a group scene, but my favorite was in Lifeboat. 25 minutes into the motion picture, you'll see a newspaper with an advertisement for Reducto Obesity Slayer. Well, I kindly served as the before picture. One can't take oneself too seriously, right? Also, early in my career, I worked on title cards. And during a particularly dull love scene once, I wrote, instead of the dribble they were saying, I wrote my wife's recipe for clam chowder on one of the cards. Well, that scene was eventually cut, but we did have amazing chowder for the rest of the filming. During my whole career, my partner in crime was my wife, Alma. Yeah, she is. Regardless of what the newspapers and the writers said about my relationship with my co-stars, Alma was my partner and my advisor. There you are, dear. I admired her a great deal. Essentially, she was my editor, my script supervisor, and my assistant director. I love her, and I miss you dearly, love. With that, I will bid you a good night.
He feels a little chill. Can I bring him this blanket? Sure. All right.
It's sad when a mother has to speak the words that condemn her own son. I couldn't allow them to believe that I would commit murder. They'll put him away now, as I should have, years ago. He was always bad, and in the end he intended to tell them I killed those girls and that man, as if I could do anything except just sit and stare, like one of his stuffed birds. Well, they know I can't even move a finger, and I won't. I'll just sit here and be quiet, just in case they do suspect me. They're probably watching me. Well, let them see what kind of a person I am. I'm not even going to swat that fly. I hope they are watching. They'll see. They'll see and they'll know. And they'll say, why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
I couldn't do much work after I did the movie Psycho. I was typecast as a psycho, I guess. Or I should say I could only get part of Norman Bates. Glad to know I was convincing in that role. I often envied men like Jack Nicholson and Dennis Hopper, who played psychos and went on playing more psychos. As for me, I was far too mild-mannered to get more work playing a psycho, and well, Norman Bates was too crazy for me to get more work as a nice guy, so kind of went into that actor's limbo, you know, where you'd go to an audition and all anyone would see, thanks Sarah, was Norman Bates. And there he is. So that's where I was, but boy, did Hitch and Stefano write the hell out of that screenplay. Joseph Stefano, he was the screenwriter. Oddly enough, he couldn't get much work afterwards either. He was the producer and writer for The Outer Limits. Remember that show? Like The Twilight Zone, but more out there. No pun intended. He didn't really like the story of Psycho when Hitch gave it to him to read, but he wanted the job, so he decided to have the main character killed off in the first 20 minutes of the film. This had never been done before. Genius, right? I think to be a part of a masterpiece, you have to give up part of yourself. I mean, that role, it's what I'll be known for. It's my legacy, even after my death. It's a part actors kill for. Oddly enough, it's kind of the thing that killed my career. Did you know, some college students made Hitch a torso, so that when the knife would hit it, blood would spurt. Hitch didn't want to use it. He knew it was best if the audience could fill in. He used and played on the 5 senses. The sound of the violin music against the scene, the shot of the hand, the knife striking the shower curtain. He knew. Guess that's why he was the master of suspense. Oddly enough, I think I could have went on playing big parts. I could have declined the role, but no, I think it was the best thing I ever did. I do. And making that picture, filming that picture, were some of the happiest filming experiences I ever had. I mean, yes, it was dark and disturbing subject matter. But Hitch had a great sense of humor. I'm sure you've heard that. All the stories about Hitch and his great sense of humor. And I have to laugh when I think about the person I was and the kind of role that I'll be known for. I mean, I'm as far from Norman Bates in life as any person could ever be. Or were you, Norman?
The Green Bay Packers have won 5 world championships in the last 8 years. Winning isn't everything, but it's the only thing. In our business, there is no second place. Either you're first or you're last.
The big word in professional football is execution. All players succeed on the blackboard, but men make them work. It's very important. But if you have not reached the passer, you can't get them. Get your hands up.
Come on! Come on, hit him! Come on, hit him, Netsky! Come on, what the hell's going on out there? Oh, geez, you're fat, Thurston! Come on, what are you going to do about number 72, huh? He's fast, you're fat. Oh, jeez. Come on, Jim Taylor. Come on. That's 2 trips around the goalpost. Don't you argue with me. 2 trips around the goalpost. And you, don't argue with me neither. This is my heaven, my afterlife, and here I'm gonna say what I wanna say and do what I wanna do. But I guess that's partially what brought me here. Didn't want to listen to the doctors. They told me, get the test done. I wouldn't get the test done. You wouldn't either if they were coming there with a big metal stick trying to stick it up your ass. Medical procedure, huh? But sure enough, colon cancer. That was my cross to bear. Brought me here, brought me to the sidelines. But it's a nice work if you can get it. I'm here for eternity. All right, what the hell's going on out there? Come on, I don't see anybody tackling out here. Just grab it. It's just grab, no tackling. Oh, you're a bunch of dogs out here. You're not going to get your job back if you don't do a little better than that. That's right. Nice work if you can get it too, right? But like you saw there, the power sweep, that was my bread and butter. Wasn't too complicated. You just create a seal here and a seal there and drive it right down the alley. But contrary to what many people say, leadership can be about formulas. That's right. And leadership is not born, it is made. It's about hard work and determination. I mean, that's what we used to play for when the team had pride. Oh, but I've never had patience. I would go to St. Willibrod's, and every morning I would go and I would pray for patience with these players and the reporters who got it wrong all the time. Oh, the reporter. For example, I am reported saying, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing, right? You heard it. But the reporter said I made that up. No, that quote, I heard it from a coach somewhere, repeated it, but it's actually from a 1943 John Wayne movie called Trouble Along the Way, and the character who says the line, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing, John Wayne's 11-year-old daughter in the movie. That's right. My point is, it's not about cheating. You know, people try to associate me with Nixon's politics back when the reporters got it all messed up. I meant that to be about determination. If you want something badly enough, you gotta be single-minded about it. It wasn't about cheating or whatnot. These reporters get it all wrong. So none of you, everything I'm saying now is off the record, all right? I do not trust reporters. I do not trust newspaper people. A lot of us here complaining from the afterlife because things that were made of us in the newspapers, things that were said. We are not just a series of newspaper clippings. We are not just epitaphs on a tombstone. You know? We are or
were
representing
dead
celebrities. We hope you enjoyed these made-up monologues by dead celebrities.
And remember, be careful what you say about the dead.
After all, you too, one day, will be dead.
And probably not famous. Well, that was a macabre ending.
Well, what are you going to do? It's a show about dead people. Dead celebrities.